The first Apple Watch was announced in September of 2014 and came out the following March. It was kind of a big deal, as it was Apple's first foray into the smartwatch industry, and it's fair to say it's changed everything in that market. Hey, how's it going? I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and today we're going to be taking a look at the first generation Apple Watch over 4 years after it was initially revealed to the public. How does it hold up? The Apple Watch made waves back in 2014 when it was announced. Funnily enough, I actually remember watching the keynote that day, and needless to say, I was pretty hyped. And here we are, 4 years later, and I finally purchased one. The first one that was announced 4 years ago. I actually meant to buy the Series 1, it's a long story, but nevertheless, I have bought the Series 3 Apple Watch since, and am using it now. The Series 1 came out a year after the first generation Apple Watch, by the way. I know it's a very confusing naming scheme, but anyways, I did use the first Apple Watch for a full month before I got the Series 3 and got a pretty good idea of what it was like, and it's not great, to be honest. The Apple Watch first generation, or Series 0 as it's been dubbed, is as slow as molasses. It's actually pretty painful, and while it works for some things like activity tracking for the most part and I don't know, being a watch, it is unusable in a lot of basic tasks. Want to answer a text on your watch? Only if you're willing to wait 3 years for each letter to be recorded. That said, it works well enough to tell the time and to see your basic notifications. So it worked for me when I was using it, admittedly. Just very poorly. But we'll get to all that. First, let's start with the basics. The Apple Watch is made from aluminum, although you can find the stainless steel ones if you want, although if you're paying that extra money, you might as well just get a better Apple Watch. The watch wirelessly charges. All you have to do is pop it onto its magnetic charger and you're set. This is the same process as newer Apple Watches, and it's super convenient. When it comes to holding a charge, the first Apple Watch struggles, and by the end of the day, it's usually out of juice. There is a power reserve mode, which turns off everything except for the ability to tell the time, and you'll probably find yourself using that a lot more than you'd like during longer days with this device. You have two size options with this watch, 42mm and 38mm. I have here the 42, and I think it's pretty much the perfect size for my wrist. Obviously, this will vary person to person, but it's nice that Apple was able to introduce two sizes right at the beginning instead of just one size fits all. The watch is actually the thinnest and lightest of all the Apple Watches. Batteries and the internals have gotten better, and with that they've gotten bigger. Personally, I'd rather have a bit bigger Apple Watch for a longer battery, because again, this Apple Watch really struggles in that department. But hey, at least it is smaller than the others. I guess that's a benefit. The Series 1 actually does have the same dimensions as this Apple Watch, but trust me when I say you won't notice much difference on your wrist if you compare it to the Series 2 or later. The display on the Apple Watch for what it is fine. It's OLED, which means you'll get true blacks, so in the dark it'll look a lot better than if the whole thing was backlit. Now this watch does have a problem. I'm guessing it's water damage. In the bottom left corner there, you can see a little black mark. Not sure what exactly that is. It's a little bit annoying, but typically you don't see it, so I can live with it. The most problematic issue with this watch is again that it's too slow. When you have a smartwatch, you're probably wanting to do more than just use it to tell the time. But unfortunately, the Series 0 struggles with anything more than that thanks to its single core processor. The Series 1 boosted the performance significantly, and so if you're on a budget and wanting to pick up an old Apple Watch, make sure you at least go up to the Series 1 because the first generation is really darn slow. And be careful when buying a Series 1 because thanks to the confusing naming scheme, a lot of people think their first generation Apple Watch is the Series 1 when it's not, and that's what happened to me when I bought this watch. It's fine, I got a partial refund, but it's still annoying, and I wish the seller had been a little bit more thorough before listing the watch. The first Apple Watch has been officially dropped support for by Apple as it did not get watchOS 5. You can still use the watch just fine on watchOS 4, but you're losing out on any new features Apple brings, which is actually probably good because this device is already brutally slow, and anything more will probably make it even worse. I mean, you just look at this. Like, this is pretty basic, right? I'm just moving the UI around, and it's causing lag, and that's not something that should happen at all on any device. The watch will often freeze up, and beyond the most basics of basics, this watch really is not hardly even usable, much less a good experience. I used it for a month, and you know what? I lived with it because I had never had anything better. But since switching to the Series 3, it's like a whole different world. It looks the same, but it performs much better, and for tracking tracking activity, answering text messages, and just general things you would like to do with a smartwatch, it was a much better buy, as you would expect. So if you're still using the first Apple Watch or were considering getting one, go up to the Series 1 or Series 3. Both are still great Apple Watches, and heck, you could even go for the Series 4 if you like that new redesign. In short, using the first Apple Watch all these years later feels like more of a pain than anything else. As a watch, it's fine, but it's supposed to be a smartwatch, and the inability to act as one results in a pretty obsolete device. It has not aged well, and I'm a little disappointed in Apple for not optimizing it better. And with that, I'm pretty much done here. There's not a ton to say, as this just isn't a good watch anymore, even if it used to be, and started the entire Apple Watch line. It definitely was an important piece of tech, and at least we can appreciate the impact it made. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video interesting, maybe hit that like button and consider subscribing for more content just like this. You can follow me over on Twitter and Instagram if you want some more tech in your life, links below. And with that all being said, I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and I will see you all next time.